All right, South Carolina picks up an 80-54 win over the Towson Tigers here at Colonial Life Arena on Tuesday evening. And right off the bat, this was a good win for the Gamecocks. Look, these games may not seem like they're big considering they're against lower tier, quad 3, quad 4 type of opponents. But trust me, with what's coming up next for the Gamecocks, these are games that you need to win, and you need to win by a big margin, and that is exactly what we saw tonight. One thing I think a lot of people were probably looking for with this team was, could South Carolina get off to a good start? Because, through the first 2 games of the year, look, it's a small sample size, but South Carolina hadn't really been able to get out to those quick, solid starts. They played kind of sluggish in these games and missed a lot of shots, but tonight was a lot more quality on both ends of the floor. Defense was really strong to start. You held the Tigers to 0 of 10 from three-point range to start the game, and that kind of set the wheels in motion for the offense to get rolling and really quickly into this game. And it was already a double-digit lead, and South Carolina, by the end of the first half, was up by as much as 20 points and looked like they were in complete control. I thought a lot of guys stepped up tonight and played really well. Obviously, we got to start with Colin Murray-Boyles. He had a really big night, but other guys like Nick Pringle and Jacoby Wright, once again, we'll dive more into these guys here in a second, but I thought those guys played really well in the first half. Now, other things happened in this game, like second half wasn't as strong. Obviously in the first half, South Carolina shot 62% from the floor, which was a really, again, it goes back to just how well they started. Like, obviously defense was great in this game at the start, but offensively, you shot really well. I mean, you were hitting your stride, and I thought things were good from that end. But second half, things were a little bit more sloppy. They had double-digit turnovers in the second half alone. Shots weren't falling as consistently, especially from three-point range. But, I mean, it really didn't make much of a difference considering South Carolina was still up by plenty. And, again, they won this game by a wide margin, and that's really all that matters. Now, going back to what I was talking about earlier, CMB led the way with 27 points tonight on 9 of 12 shooting. He almost had a double-double for the second straight game, 9 rebounds, and Nick Pringle almost had a double-double as well. He had 15 points on 6 of 8 shooting and 9 rebounds. And look, I think this is something I pointed out in my preview for this game, was that, look, we've seen what CMB can do, and it seems like his play has only progressed since last year. He's looking so much better, and these games are really early, and the competition will get a lot tougher on Saturday moving forward. But in these early games, he's looked really sharp, and you were kind of waiting to see, like, okay, Nick Pringle's this highly sought-after guy that South Carolina brought in from Alabama. How is he going to be able to complement CMB? And we saw that tonight. I thought he was a lot more physical, especially near the basket, and that's something Lamont Paris wants to do a lot more of, is get those two guys going inside, and it'll force defenses and opponents to have to pick and choose between, okay, do you try to stop the front court that South Carolina has with 2 really solid players, or do you try to stop the shooters? It's gonna cause issues for other teams once they get going. And so I thought that was a really important thing to see tonight. But other than that, man, I mean, look, this is just a game that it's a blowout. It is what it is, and there's not a ton to take away from this game. But I thought, for South Carolina's sake, they really needed a game like this to go into the weekend on a really high note, because Indiana, that's who South Carolina has up next. It's a big road matchup in Bloomington, Assembly Hall, number 16 ranked Hoosiers. This is a big game for both teams. We're going to learn a lot about these programs and where they are through 4 games in the year. And look, whatever happens Saturday, it doesn't define how the season's going to go for either program, but with Mike Woodson kind of being like in a make or break year with Indiana, and Lamont Paris coming off the big year last year with South Carolina, both of these teams are looking to get off to a great start and have that big signature win to open the year. So that game will tip off on Saturday at 3 p.m. on Peacock from Bloomington, Indiana. We'll not be there for the game, but we will have coverage on GamecockCentral.com. More stories to come throughout the week, and we'll have a lot to talk about from this game, and we'll preview Indiana. Let's talk a little bit more about this game tomorrow on GC Live at the buzzer with myself right around 10:15 a.m. Should be a lot of fun going live talking about this game and then previewing Indiana, like I said. So that's going to do it for now from Colonial Life Arena. Again, South Carolina picks up an 80-54 win over Towson to move to 2-1 on the year. For GamecockCentral.com, I'm Jack Veltri.